Welcome to I Am Goddess Collective podcast, a sacred space for empowerment through modern magic, spiritual activism, and reclaiming your power. I am your host, Nixie Marie, feng shui practitioner, earth activist, and mystic, here to support and inspire your journey in becoming the change you wish to see in this world. That change starts within. Join myself and fellow thought leaders, metaphysical experts, and luminaries each week as we explore practical and magical ways to living in your highest alignment. Your journey as an empowered goddess begins here. Let's dive in. Hello, lovely ladies. Welcome back to the show. Really interesting times. I hope that your day, whatever, in quarantine has been a good time of awakening. I feel like there's just been so much every single day, navigating through every single aspect of this current experience that we are all witnessing before our eyes. And I just want to, always come back to the ground right now. Like the ground feels really good. Being grounded, doing grounding rituals, meditating has felt really good. Dancing has felt really good. There's been I have a little list of things that have really helped keep me sane. And I kind of wanted to start the show off with that to give you some ideas, ways in which you can build up your immune system, really stay grounded during this time and not get too caught up in the news, the media. We're being constantly thrown so many different things every single time I go into Facebook. I have to say I'm very anti almost social media right now. However, I also feel this pressure to really, be around and support and be a voice. So it's an interesting contrast, but I think that that's part of it. None of us have actually experienced this before. But some of the tools that I want to share that really help me come back into my body when, moments I might get a little overthinking or overanalyzing. First thing is definitely to come back to my center and put my hands on my heart and take some deep breaths. Remind myself that in my environment, I am safe, I am healthy. And obviously this is to not discredit anyone out there who's experienced any loss or is currently not healthy, but I'm here to share some ways in which you can stay healthy if that's where you are, or invite others into the conversation that are potentially not feeling their best right now, or have lost a loved one and is going through the grief process. So taking some deep breaths, bringing it back into the body, putting your hands on your heart, saying you love yourself, recognizing that you have control over your environment, right? What you surround yourself with, how many times you journal each day, how many times you meditate each day, you have control over that. And something that I've learned from my feng shui master that I thought sharing here too is kind of come back to the 20-80 rule, where 20% of our environment is outside of us. That's the media, people's opinions, things outside that we can't control. And 80% is actually within our environment, things that we can control. So come back to that principle when you feel like you might be going off on the deep end. And another thing that I've been doing a lot is stretching, dancing, yoga, moving my body, really releasing any stored trauma, any stored guilt, any stored shame, anything that has been trapped inside of my body, which I feel like I've been doing so much work forever around. But the work, as you guys all know, doesn't stop. And as these times are, I really believe that this experience that we're having is a microcosm to the macrocosm. So in some way, we have created, Mother Earth has a lot to say, I feel like, about what's going on right now. And I really foresee that this is all for the highest good. It's hard to say that. It really is, because it feels very irresponsible in some ways. But at the same time, it feels really, it feels like truth to me. And I'm here to tell my version of truth. I think there's many different versions of truth out there. But mine really lies in that our inner world creates our outer, and the macrocosm is, created from the micro and the inner and the outer, and where all of that is connected. So to put ourselves outside of this experience to some degree is actually really, really toxic, I think. And when we put ourselves in the experience, it really comes back to us putting ourselves inward into the experience. And I think that's really why we're being driven to our homes, to recognize something on a bigger level. Our home is Mother Earth. So when they say safer at home, Mother Earth isn't quite happy right now. And she's definitely going through what she needs to go through in order to heal. And I think we need to be reminded that she doesn't need us. I think she really likes us, but it feels like we're getting a hard mama spanking right now, and everybody's kind of being tossed back into their bedrooms. Go to your room. You've been a bad boy, a bad girl. That's sort of how I feel. And while we're in our rooms, let's think about this. When we got sent to our rooms when we were a little girl or a little boy, what did we do? We had to sit and think about what we have done. So I kind of want to invite us all, right? I've been doing this myself, and I think it's a good exercise is to really journal, thinking about how have we contributed to this on a cosmic level? How have we contributed to the spread of disease, the spread of virus? I mean, all of these things are also within us to some degree. I mean, we could talk about a virus being something like toxic energy that we're spreading out. A disease can be manifested by that toxic energy, negative thoughts, keeping that trauma stored in the body. So I think that there's a bigger picture here. While I don't want to spill you with all my opinions about the current state of affairs, because I think that there's been so many opinions being tossed out, and I don't really feel called. I think you guys get my perspective, but on a deeper level, we all know something bigger is going on, whether that mean the political side of things, whether that mean Mama Earth is healing, whether that means we are healing, like whatever that is, I'm in full web of trust and faith, knowing that it is for the highest good. And so that's what I'm standing for. And ultimately, I really stand for our sovereign power. And I think that's what we've become a bit disassociated with. And that's why we're here doing the work. So that's kind of my intro, little tips and things that can kind of bring you back to your center. Another part or aspect or tip or tool is getting into nature. And if you are on serious lockdown in the world, I know there's many different rules and regulations based on the state. But if you are not able to get into nature, I think now is probably a really good time to start connecting and talking to your plants. If you got plants in your house, if you don't have plants in your house, now's a good time to invest. I went to Home Depot the other day, and I saw people buying plants, like so many plants. Every single cart had a plant in it. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. That's an odd thing to, it's definitely not toilet paper. So I don't know what that was just cool. I thought, that now is the great time to buy plants. We're going to be at home. If you can't get outside, invest in some plants. Have some conversations with them. Connect to nature. Maybe, if you can, put your feet on the ground, take your shoes off, ground, earth. All these tools, guys. I keep saying to myself, Nixie, your spiritual foundation is your utmost important priority right now. Everything else can wait. And I'm going to say that to you guys. Your spiritual foundation is the most important thing you can possibly do right now is commit to your practice, devote yourself to the practice, and remember who you are, remember your power, because you are a sovereign goddess and you are powerful enough to stay like in your bubble, in your orb, and really go inward to connect to the why, the why you're here, the why you are powerful, remembering why you're powerful. Really magical times. So, okay, we've got a podcast episode for you today. And I had a lot of fun on this episode with Krista Ripma. She's a fellow sailor sister, which was really fun to discover as we were recording. You guys will hear it. And she's a digital marketing wizard witch, which she's definitely got a lot of skill sets when it comes to launching courses online, which I'm in the process of potentially doing. And she's really just got a very super yummy approach to how she really supports people in their business. So it's a shift in the conversation. I love talking about business. You guys know. For anyone out there that's looking to launch a course, maybe now feels like the right time because everybody's at home. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So definitely Krista spills all of her secrets on this podcast, which was quite nice. So thank you, Krista. And she is, like I said, she's rad, and I can't wait for you guys to meet her. So we just dive into all these sort of magical tools and different ways in which you can really launch a successful course or market your online business. So it was just a fun, it's not, I forewarn you, it's not very all about business. We talk about more than that. So I think you're going to really like it. And I think it's going to be a great podcast to inspire you if you are feeling called to get online and share your message online. So before we get into that episode, I'm pulling a card here from the moon deck. Oh, of course, we have the nature card. We've got the nature card. I am of the earth and in harmony with nature. Great card. What did I just talk about? Having some conversations with our plants. Sounds about right. Nature. I am of the earth and in harmony with nature. And this is the point that I was inviting into this previous conversation here. We are not separate from Mother Earth. We are one with her. She is our mother, and it's really time. I couldn't feel more passionately about the conversation of how important it is and why it's the time to find our harmony, find our rhythm. How do we get back to the flow of nature? How do we get back into harmony with nature? That's the conversation I think we all should be, or the question we should all be asking ourselves right now. So I love that card. That card is from the Moon Deck, our lovely sponsor. You can get your own card deck at themoondeck.com/goddess. You can get 10% off, as well as there's lots of other ritual tools and stuff for you on the site. So lastly, final announcement we have, and I just want to ask, actually, wanted to invite this into the conversation today before we really get into the interview, because honestly, I've been having quite a interesting time. Every day feels surreal, and I'm good and I'm confident. And then some days I'm like, whoa, I'm feeling a lot. So I just want to ask that you are patient with me and with yourself and everyone around you, because we all have different ways of navigating and handling what's going on. And while I'm not asking for excuses by any means, but mostly an invitation and an ask to really give yourself permission to be exactly where you are with everything, and know that everybody, especially here, we have such a sacred circle here, that we're all going to support and not judge or make judgment of anyone that maybe isn't showing up their best. Because honestly, I don't feel my best all the time, and I've been showing up, and it's been not easy because there's been so many distractions and things pulling me away from what I really want to be doing is, facilitating and being with you guys. And also just be gentle. There's so many things I wanted to do, and now I've also had so much support around me, and all of that support I've had to, I don't want to say lay off, but that's really what I had to do. And it's been not an easy thing. So I'm kind of back to a one-woman / editing amazing production company show. But I'm doing a lot more work now inside Goddess Collective. So bear with me. I'm doing the best I can. And thank you guys so much for all of your support. And thank you for leaving a rating and review on iTunes and Apple Podcasts and sharing this out with your soul sister tribe. It really means a lot to me, as I am still committed, and I love this so much, and is my sanity in this moment in time. So thank you for expressing how you are supporting the show. Don't forget also, we have our Patreon page now, which is loaded up and ready for you if you'd like to support the show on a different level and get some amazing bonus episodes, as well as some awesome meditations. We've got a whole tier of amazingness on the Patreon. So check it out, patreon.com/goddess collective. Okay, I love you guys. Let's dive into this episode, and I hope you have a magical, amazing day. I'll see you on the other side. Hello, beautiful ladies. Welcome back to another fantastic, magical day here on I Am Goddess Collective. I am super excited. Today's been a very lovely day of interviews, and this woman I have on, we're kind of shifting the game a little bit, because she's going to bring on the conversation kind of more about conscious business, which is such a fun topic for me. And we're getting into like marketing and all those like digital marketing, all the things. So we've got Krista Ripma. I should have asked you that before we got started. I see the last
Ripma.
name and I'm like, did I say it right? Dang it. Ripma.
Yep.
Okay. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, it was quite a day. I agree.
Yeah. Well, it's a full moon when we're recording this in Virgo.
Yes, it is.
So lots of interesting energies at play. And it's the time change. The time just shifted on us. And I feel like I was telling her, Krista earlier, that it feels like the time literally kind of, we lost an hour. So it definitely felt that way in a lot of ways.
Yes. Felt like I lost more, but we're here
Yeah.
now.
I was like, wait, it's what time is it? I'm sorry. It feels like it's like 2 p.m. And it feels like, I don't know, when I woke up today, I was like, I feel like it's 6, but it's really like 9. And I felt very off my game. So honestly, it feels good to be in front of the mic with you, and we get to just drop all the outworld things that happen and just dive into your work and whatever else comes through. So
Yeah.
Krista, for those of you guys would like to know more about her awesome work, she is a marketing coach, launch strategist, and co-founder of Authentic Audience, also a podcaster, which she is a full-service digital marketing and ad agency dedicated to serving brands who foster the best in self-care, self-love, and self-expression. So I think it's kind of obvious why she's here. She was also recently featured in Entrepreneur Mag and Forbes. Look at you, girl. And is, like I said, a host of another podcast called Authentic Audience Podcast. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I love podcasting because it's like an opportunity to just turn everything else off for an hour. And it's such a gift to be able to do this. So I'm excited to be on the other side.
I know. Well, you as a podcast interviewer,
Yeah.
it's always interesting when I'm on the other side. I'm like, oh, that's right. I just get to receive and answer questions.
Which is actually really hard for me. So
Good. Perfect. We'll put you on the spot.
Yeah.
So before we get into the conversation, I always love to ask this question to start the show. What crystals are you currently working with and why?
What crystals am I currently working with and why? Wow. I always have my clear quartz. I always have my rose quartz. They're sitting on my desk right now. And to me, all the crystals, whatever I'm working with, I actually just saw a homeopathic, sort of doctor crazy, insane East meets West experience. And he told me I need to bring crystals back in. And for me, they just serve as a reminder. When I can hold them and see them and touch them and feel them. And rose quartz I love because I need to get back to my heart space more and actually breathe. I also have tiger eye though, but I can't really tell you why I'm working with it. I was gifted it and it's sitting in my office, and she said, to be like more into the like feminine sort of like ownership role, which doesn't feel too off brand. So yeah.
Interesting. I love how crystals like find their way into our lives and somehow serve like a greater purpose. And we kind of don't even need to know sometimes. It's just like there to
I know.
support.
I wish I could like show you. It's sitting over there. I can show you when we hang up. But this really amazing woman, she lives in Amsterdam and she's called It's Krista on Instagram. And she actually makes like crystal grids. And you can do like a consult with her where you talk about like what's going on in your life or what you need or what's happening. And then she customizes like this geometric grid of crystals and then writes you like an explanation on a card and like frames it for you.
Wow.
So I have that in my office that I haven't hung up yet, but it's funny you should ask.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I do crystal grids around homes, but I've never done like a photo of it. That's really cute.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on to all the things that make you who you are. So you're in marketing and digital marketing. You help people build their courses online. And I know you've got a lot of amazing clients, Deborah Silverman being one of them, and also the yoga couple who you've actually had both of them on the podcast. And so, tell me a little bit about, I love story. Like, how did you get started in this?
Yeah, it's a good one. So I originally and forever have been a storyteller. And to me, like marketing is just storytelling. I got started out of college. I actually worked in Hollywood, like on movies. I wanted to be a movie producer. And I found myself working on stories that I would never watch. And so I loved the power of storytelling. And that's when I really I worked for this developer and, I read like thousands and thousands of screenplays and that was my job. And basically I got to find like in the first like 10 seconds, which is very similar to marketing. If I wasn't hooked, the script wasn't really that good. And so I started like with the reading of stories. And then through a really long winded explanation ended up, living on my boat, basically doing brand strategy calls, helping people with their marketing, with their social media, with their voice, really, like how to figure out who you're talking to and how to speak to them so that they hear you. And then from that, my business partner and husband, not my husband at the time, but we were dating when we merged companies. He came on and we created Authentic Audience, which is everything digital marketing entails. We do Facebook ads, Google ads, all of that kind of stuff. But for me, it's a lot of resistance coaching because when you want to sell or invest money in your own business, that can be really stressful for people and cause a lot of sort of old wounds and baggage and resistance to just arise. So I do a lot of that and marketing coaching. But what I really like to do is just help people like remind them that they can fly and that their gifts are unique and that their offering is worthy because so much of marketing is mindset. So any agency will probably give you a similar sales funnel strategy that I would, but I spend the first part of it making sure you're like ready for launch. Because if you go into a launch feeling like fear-based or scarcity around money or it's selling or doubt, it's just like not going to do well. And for me, the strategy can be amazing and the offer can be amazing. But if your intention isn't there, it actually really changes the whole energy of the launch. So a lot of what I do, I do the building of the sites and I do the, strategy and calls and all of that. But a lot of what I do is really hold space for people to like process everything that comes with launching something and make sure that, they're held through that.
That is amazing. And also you said you lived on a boat?
I did. Yeah.
Do you still have a boat?
I'm trying to get back there. So my husband and I met sailing and I was living on my boat at the time. And our dream is to sail around the world.
Stop.
And so we could talk about that instead of marketing. But so it's funny because we started this to find a way that we can remotely, continue to make money. And I just got as I tend to do most things, got really passionate and really into the work, which is good. So we're basically on land. We're living in Santa Cruz and creating a company that can hopefully one day in the future function without me being on Wi-Fi and available 24/7.
Well, I bet my entire audience right now is noticing the synchronicities here, because that's exactly what my man and I goal and dream is.
No.
Yeah.
I die.
No, it's serious. Like, we have a sailboat we're working on right now to do that.
What size?
We have a 65 Pearson Countess, and it's 1965, but it's a 42, 44 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We want to do it on a catamaran.
Yeah. That's definitely potentially the next thing. This is like our first step.
Yeah. So I've sailed in the Tuamotus for a month on a cat, and crossings are just uncomfortable. I have to say, like, crossings on a cat are way more uncomfortable. But my whole feeling about that is, people envision when you say I want to sail around the world that you're like in open seas the majority of the time.
No, yeah.
And really, if your hand span is your lifetime of sailing, the time that you're doing crossings is barely a pinky nail, and the rest of the time you're at anchor or exploring or doing something amazing. The crossings are, treacherous and hard, but a small part of sailing. And so for me, I'm I would rather be comfortable at anchor than in the crossings. And so we're leaning towards catamaran, but we've gone back and forth. And
yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, but that's so crazy. I want to talk to you all about that more. We have we just
opened up a rabbit hole. That's what we did. It's been crazy. I have to say, lately, I've been saying this a lot on the podcast, the people that I've been meeting, the interviews I've been having, I've been learning so much, more been in jaw drop. Wow, this message is either for me, and I know it's for everyone else too, but more so for me lately. I feel like I'm just meeting the right people, and this is the magic in podcasting. It's quite interesting how it's all playing a part. And this is, I think, again, kind of even goes back to marketing, because it's you've put yourself out there, I put myself out there, and somehow we're together in this way. It's really, really interesting. Yeah. But we have it sounds like we have a lot in common to talk about. My boyfriend's going to be
happy to,
what? He's going to be very excited.
I'm so happy to know you. I feel like we could have a whole nother thing about that. But I agree. I think the energy you're putting out is what you attract. And I find more and more I'm actually talking to you in my marketing. So it makes sense that you would resonate with it, because I'm literally speaking to you. And so, I used to be surprised when I'd get on to do an interview or a call, and see who's on the other end. I just manifested you. You're literally who I created this for. Yeah. But now it's you better show up, because I'm literally speaking to you, Right. And so it's switched a little. I mean, I'm equally as excited every time, but the boat thing is cool. I have not had that connection with anyone before.
Yeah, it's a unique one. I actually haven't, I'm learning to sail from my boyfriend, because he grew up on sailboats. So I grew up on powerboats, and I know all that side, but sailing is a whole different experience. And I reference business to sailing a lot. And I talk about, how, when you're in business or you're the CEO, you're running something, you're the captain of your ship, and you've got to be able to delegate and tell your crew where the ship is sailing. And I don't know, there's so many metaphors for sailing and life.
It's so real.
So
it's literally knocking me down, you know, no pun intended, every time. Yeah. Because it's just, it's really real. And for me, it's that my happiest place, which is so funny, because I'm such a micromanagey, control-y, type A kind of person. But then when I'm sailing, it's I'm just at the mercy of Mama Ocean. And for whatever reason that I can grasp, but why I can't bring that more into my business. It's actually, I'm a verbal processor. So as I'm saying it and hearing you, I'm right.
Yeah. Wow. Well, okay. So kind of getting back to the marketing conversation about what you do. When you're working, let's say you take on a new client, what is your process and why is it different from everyone else out there?
Yeah, I'm not sure how different it is from anyone else because I'm actually not really paying attention to what anyone else is doing at the moment. But when somebody reaches out to me, the first thing that we do is I have you fill out a brand document. And this is like the first sort of step in the resistance phase, because a lot of people, and it's pretty crazy, I get a lot of inbound leads. I have really great connections like with you and with Deb, and it just, when you're in the flow and doing something that works and that you love, the abundance is real. And so I'm constantly getting inbound leads. And the first thing is we send them a brand doc, which could probably take you anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to fill out. And half of the people that reach out to us, we never hear from them again.
Really?
Once we send them the brand document.
That's like fascinating.
And they're like so excited and want to get on a call and like want something from me. And I'm like, great, just like fill this out. Because if you can't take the time, because I'm going to invest in you. Absolutely. I'm going to invest in your brand and your business and your success and ride the waves with you and answer the phone when you're having a hard time or with the like whatever. I'm going to just go all in with you. And if you can't even take 30 minutes to like sit down with yourself and go all in and figure out where you need support and what your why is, or at least tell me, I don't know, but it feels something like this. It's not going to work. And so to me, that's the first piece of the process, which is crazy to me that someone's so in. And then, the minute they have to talk about their business, they can't do it. So I always find that piece like a really important part of my process is like, if you have a service-based offering, to like have some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Gatekeeper or gateway of like actually judging if it's worth your energy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so having that's a form, like an application, something like that
I was just talking to this yoga teacher training and they were like, oh, I feel like our application's like turning people away. I'm like, no, it's weeding people out. Yeah. Cause like if they're not going to fill out a 10-minute application, they're probably not going to purchase your yoga teacher training. So I like having like a little bit of a barrier because I want people to really care. And oftentimes when you do fill that out and you do get on the phone with me, energetically, what that says to me is you're ready.
Yeah.
Like you are ready to dive into your website. You are ready to put calls to actions all over your social media. You're like ready to scream from the rooftops about how excited you are about your offer. So basically that's the first step. Everyone that comes through starts with a brand dive or a deep dive where we like dive in together. I go into this like weird flow state where I just share my screen. I look at your site. I look at everything. And from there you get like an action plan. And my goal is to have a lot of people be able to go fly just from that deep dive, especially if you're just starting out. I want to give you enough information so that you can like make a huge dent in your leads or in your revenue or whatever before we, even talk about Facebook ads. But it looks a little different for everyone. So that's like the initial way that people can work with us. But long term, we do launches, which for a little Gemini is my favorite because I get to go all in super deep with a client for about 60 to 90 days and basically hold them through an online launch. So everything from the strategy around it. Some people bring me on to actually co-create the course with them, which I could really use right now, creating my courses. It's really hard. It's really hard to get your stuff out there. And I get it. And I think one, it's giving you the tools. So if you're really ready to do it, you have the tools to do it. I think that it should be more competitive. I think a lot of people have tools that not everyone has access to that could make or break a launch. So I'm really like excited. The thing I get most excited about is teaching people about marketing and through the process, hopefully healing their relationship with sales and marketing. And then launching. So those are kind of the two sides. I do like the personal consults, the packages, we do launches, and then we have some online courses coming out. So I'm very busy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, but I love your approach, especially with the conscious way of how you view like, okay, there's blocks. I'm going to help you through that block. And there's resistance. And there's all these components of what kind of hold someone back from success ultimately.
Yeah.
And, I think that just that alone is what sets you apart, because it's like, we could go anywhere, right? And someone's going to just kind of give someone maybe a blueprint or something that is like, oh yeah, so this is how you're going to do your launch strategy. And there's not a lot of intimacy in that. And from my experience of just being in business, an entrepreneur for so long, so much comes up. Like our shit comes up every single day almost, when we're doing something big, making a big change, going to launch something out into the world. Maybe it's a course. I haven't done a course yet because there's definitely blocks there.
Yeah.
There's the story, and I'll tell you my story. Maybe we'll identify, you can support me through this, but my story is no one's going to pay $1,000 for a course, which has already been told untrue, because when I promoted Deborah Silverman's course, I had like 3 signups, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Thousands of people would pay $1,000.
Wait a minute. Yeah. So it's about reframing this,
and it's
this
not,
perception.
It's not necessarily, it's not about the price. And for me, like, what you want to sell people on is the transformation, because for me, like, I have so many ways to go with this, but like the pricing is a big one. And I would look at that with you and be like, okay, because the 2 basic ways we want to go with pricing, if you're trying to price anything online, this is for anyone, is either like, the quantity. So we're going to go like $197 and we want to get like mass signups, right? Versus the high ticket offer. Now, if it's going to be over $1,000, sometimes you'll need a sales call. Sometimes you'll need those live Q&As to sort of add the value, because what makes anything valuable is you. So if you're willing to like do a couple of Q&A calls or like actually interact, then the course just jumps in price. I'm doing a marketing fundamentals course coming out. It's going to be under $200 and you don't get any access to me. And it's, done on your own self-study type of thing, which I want to go quantity, right? Mm-hmm. But then I'm going to do like a 0 to launch in 6 weeks, and I'm only going to take 20 people through. And that's going to be like $2,000 with a sales call. And I'm going to like accept you into the course. And I think, it's not really about the price though. It's about the amount of value that people are getting, because, if you're going to heal my relationship with blank, or emotional relationship with money, or like whatever these different conversations are, or like teach me, more about crystals. Like, honestly, there's so many courses that I would pay $1,000 for, because it's like, it's not what does it come with, right? So it's not like you get 3 pieces of this and 2 videos that are 60 minutes. It's like, what is the transformation that I'm going to experience by like having your energy like with me for 3 weeks, 6 weeks. And that's where I first have people start. So the first thing I would ask you is, if you want to teach this course, what's the amount of time? If I was sitting with you and you were teaching it to me in a room, is it hours? Is it weeks? I know, like the course I did last year, it's 90 days, because that's how long I need with somebody to really make a transformation in their business. So like my course was 90 days that I came out with last year. And that's my starting point for contracted work, right? Is we got to work together for 90 days, because like, I know that that's going to be, I'm not going to cut corners, and it should be this price, because if I did it for less, then it's not going to be as good. And I have a really good example, actually. Do you know Jordan Younger, the Balanced Blonde?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So she just launched this ebook, this plant-based ebook, and it came with a 22-day detox program. And she was basically getting a lot of people asking her if she could separate the 2 and just like have the recipe book be separate. And then she sat with it and she was like, they need both. Like, and I have to charge for both, because I like the way that this came through to me is it came together. And so like for them to have the transformation that I'm selling them on, it needs to be the healing program and the recipes. Like it has to be both. And I have to like set them up for success that way. And we've been going back and forth. So she might end up finding a way how to separate it. But I think just thinking really like if I was sitting across from my ideal client and I had 3 weeks with them, 2 hours with them, like whatever it would be, $1,000 would probably be a couple of weeks with me. what would I get in those hours, and what would you take me through, and what transformation would I experience? And then that's what you sell me on, is the benefits. And it really works. And honestly, $1,000 price point, I do have to say, is a hard one, because, and I spend a lot of time talking about pricing because, $1,000 is in the area where people have to start to consider, like, marketing is awareness, consideration, purchase. So like making them aware. And then there's that consideration phase where they're like, is she the expert? Do I want to take this? Like that consideration process, and then purchase. And the more expensive, whatever the item is, the longer the consideration process. But so typically I would say go either under 500 or over 2,000. And like jam pack it with value, because then you'll go more niche, more specific, and like really target the people that, you want, and they get to have more access to you. And I think that's ultimately what people who are paying that higher ticket want.
Well, now seems like the perfect opportunity to share with you goddesses our newest sponsor, the Moon Deck. The Moon Deck is a beautiful oracle set that connects you to your intuition and brings self-care rituals into your daily life. Created to foster community and healing, this entire set of 44 cards plus a beautiful guidebook filled with rituals is inspired by the cycles of the moon and the empowerment of women. It shares insights on growth, purpose, practice, and emotional well-being. The Moon Deck can be worked with as an oracle guide, as a daily tool for reflection and meditation, or simply in a tarot-inspired spread. As a goddess listener, you receive 10% off the entire site. So head on over to themoondeck.com/goddess and enter code goddessmoon to receive your discount. Happy rituals and oracle card pulling, sisters. I love you. Sisters, I have been waking up with so much gratitude and appreciation, all thanks to my favorite app, Yoga Wake Up. Yoga Wake Up has been founded by two of the most amazing humans that I have ever met, and I am honored to be able to announce that they are our newest sponsors for the show. Yoga Wake Up is an audio-guided yoga and meditation app that takes away your beeping alarm clock and implements mindfulness and stretching and yoga into your day. It's only about 5 to 15 minutes long, and it can be replaced as your snooze button, because I know that personally my man loves to press snooze and it definitely messes with my sleep cycle. So we've invited Yoga Wake Up into our morning routine because it truly has had the impact to change our morning and implement this beautiful ritual to have intention to start the day. Instead of scrolling on social media, which you all know we're pretty guilty of in one way, shape, or form, and instead empower you to get ready for the day, have courage, have confidence, have charisma to take on whatever comes your way. Head on over to yogawakeup.com/goddess to get 25% off as a Goddess Nation listener. It's nice to have someone like kind of break it down too, because I've been toying with the idea, and it's like, okay, so I've got all this content because I have a membership site, as some of you guys know who are in it. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that there's definitely a gap in how to really create a successful membership site. I mean, it's very much like running another business, and that's something that I sort of didn't realize.
It's a lot of work. And I have this conversation a lot. And I think, there are 3 types of online offerings that you can have. And a lot of people are just like, oh, it's a membership site. Like that's my option. And your 3 options are a membership site, an evergreen product, which means it's available all the time. That you can buy. Membership is obviously monthly. And then there's open cart, which Deborah's Applied Astrology, that's an open cart. Okay. And that is my favorite kind of launch, because if you have a membership site, you're constantly worried about churn. Yep. So if you get 10 signups, that month, for example, this is an easy example, then one person's probably going to cancel because there's usually a 10% churn rate.
Yep.
Even if you're doing amazing.
Yep.
Credit cards fail,
Yep.
address, whatever, even if it's totally, they're not even canceling on purpose. So there's like a community, like there needs to be a community manager or somebody like on that more, right? And you're held accountable if somebody signs up for like 6 months or a year to then churn out content for a year, Yep. So that's like, but it can be great. And then evergreen, it's hard because if I put a course up right now and I'm like, it's $90, you have no urgency or scarcity to buy it. It's always there. So you can have evergreen options to hold space for people or have like smaller things that you're continuing to add online. But the best thing to do is an open cart because, like applied astrology, it's urgency and scarcity. And so you warm people up for this thing coming. You get to give them free value. You get them really excited. I'm doing this right now for a launch that I'm going to create. I have a free opt-in. I'm dripping emails and I have no call to action. I'm just hitting them with tons of value. And I'm also telling them, because I'm trying to teach them about marketing, I'm like, you're in phase 1 of my launch right now. You're in the awareness phase. So I'm like telling people what I'm doing, which is, I don't know if that's a good idea or bad idea.
I know. I'm like, girl, you're exposing a lot right now.
I'm exposing it all.
Yeah.
Because I want people to learn about marketing through my launches. And so basically you open a cart with a special offer for 2 weeks. So if you want it to be an evergreen or something that's always available, then you put it in your store for more. So that they know 2 times a year, 1 time a year, they get this offer for a certain price. For applied astrology, people know that Deb only opens that cart twice a year.
Right.
So she does all this prep time, all this value, free webinars, gets people really excited, opens cart. There's urgency, there's scarcity, and then closes it. And if people want in, they're like, she's like, here's the wait list for the next one. And for me, it's great as an entrepreneur, because if you have a membership or an evergreen, you have to be promoting it all the time. And you have to be like concerned about marketing it all the time versus a launch. You get to provide value to your audience, like you're doing on this podcast, and like, do what makes you like happy and in the flow and create. You're obviously an artist and, focus on the creative. And then, twice a year, you like hustle on the marketing and it's good. So yeah, those are the 3 types. And I think it's important for people to know that because online offers are amazing. It's just sometimes hard to navigate between how.
Right. And even just as a consumer, a lot of people listening right now are probably, we have a good mix of entrepreneurial women. And then we also have a mix of those who are more on the spiritual path, like learning about all this stuff. And maybe they have something that they want to start teaching and have a course and go the online route, and I think it's important to note, and you're kind of you're shining light to me also on the process and that it is a process and that it's not just, and this is what I've personally learned. It's not just you launch something and all these people run to you. Like even if you have a podcast, even if you have all these things, it's easy to start making assumptions and look at the other person and go, wow, they're probably so successful, but who knows, like maybe not. And I think it's, again, kind of going back to just like the marketing structure and how you've got this framework that allows for someone to really not only break through their limiting beliefs, but also like have a successful business, because that's like kind of where I am. A lot of everybody's kind of hearing me. I'm like, I just started a Patreon page. I'm like, okay, what's next?
Oh, cool.
Like what are we doing? Because we did the membership site and that has been so amazing, but also way more work than I anticipated. And so I'm asking myself, okay, how can I shift this? Because this isn't the only business that I do. And it's like, okay, I want it to be more fulfilling, just like the podcast is so nourishing, so filling. It's like, I maybe just do that.
I know. I wish I could just do the podcast all day.
Yeah. But then there's just so much more to what I know I have as a capacity. So the question I guess next I have for you is really, if somebody is sort of, they're listening, they're like, oh, this is so interesting. I've been thinking of maybe they're a Reiki instructor, or maybe they have something that astrology, or they've been launching courses, but they've never really had support. Like, where would you take them, and what would you say for them, like, is the first step to get started in the right direction?
Yeah, I would always say like we are never holding space enough for the audience we have right in front of us. So like I was talking to my sister last week and she had 12 people show up to this like epic workshop, which was actually capacity. It was a small space. And I was like, what follow-up did you do with any of them? Did you reach out to see if anyone wanted a free coaching call? And she was like, no. And everyone is so concerned about getting new leads. But the people who already know you and love you, like your audience right now that's listening to this, they're your hottest leads. So that's who we should be creating courses for or thinking about. Like so many people are focused on growing their audience bigger. And if you think about it, like if you put out $1,000 course and 20 people bought it that are like of your hottest leads, that's 20,000 like immediately. What if 200? Okay, bought it. So what I like to think about is what's the smallest amount of people that could actually sustain my business. And for me, it's like, if I only reached a couple thousand people for the rest of my career, I would have a really successful business, like really successful. And I think focusing on who's in front of you and who's on your plate, is the most important thing to do. And like a good marketing term is called shot across the bow. So if you're like a Reiki instructor or you're thinking of, creating a course and you don't really know what it is, you email your list and you reach out and you say, hey, I want to build this. What are you guys interested in? Or what are you interested in seeing? And then people feel like they had a part in this and are even more excited about it. Right. So if you don't want to spend dollars yet, you don't want to do anything like that. For me, it's just reaching out to the people that come to your workshops, that come to your classes, that listen to your podcast, and hold space for them and create that connection. And that's my bigger marketing advice in general is like, I always say marketing is like dating or foreplay or whatever, because the longer the foreplay, right, the better the sex. So it's like,
yes, girl.
Yes. So it's like the longer you can like earn somebody's trust and send them value, because, if you send somebody straight from an ad or straight from a post to purchase, that purchase like conversion rate is going to be really low. But if somebody finds out about you and they see like a why video or something to do with you, and then they opt in for something free and valuable, this is the best thing to do, is create a free and valuable opt-in to collect somebody's email. Mine is a 20-page PDF on how to grow your email list and like why it's so important.
Oh, I'm going to get that.
Yes, right. Super valuable. Like I should charge for it, but I'm not. That's the point, is you create something that you actually should be like in your heart. You're like, I should really charge for this. That's when you know it's good. So you create something like that and you get an email, and getting somebody on your email, whether they're your Instagram followers or your podcast listeners or however you get them, is an opportunity to then reach them for free at any time. Because even your Instagram following on a good day, you're only reaching 10% unless you're paying to reach them all, right? So, that's just the way the algorithm works, which is unfortunate, but I guess good for Facebook ad agencies like us. But if you don't want to spend $1, it's just about providing value, like getting that email. That's what's worth money. So if you are ready to spend, start running ads to your current audience with this free offer and get them off of your Instagram and off of the podcast, like into your email list. And then you just hold space, like no calls to action. It should be 80-20. So 80% providing value, 20% call to action. Because if every newsletter you're like, sign up for this, buy this, do this, you're not providing value to anybody. It's like, asking somebody to move in with you on the first date. Yeah. So I think
I just made that mistake recently. We did a big challenge with Yoga Wake Up and a couple other brands. And I gained like 1,000 new email subscribers like really quickly. And that was amazing. And what I forgot to do was introduce myself and say, hi, thank you. And we had like a landing page set up. So it said, by entering the challenge, you're also subscribing to these brands. Now, majority of people don't read that stuff, right? They're just like, I want the challenge. So what happened there was a lot of the people that I had like 300 people unsubscribe after throughout the time, probably like a good couple of weeks after I sent out my emails. And after the first email though, I had like 150 people unsubscribe. And I mean, that's not a lot, but at the same time, it really reminded me of like, oh, I didn't create intimacy. Like I just said, hi, yeah, here's here's the membership info or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it allowed me to realize, okay, whoops, like that was a mistake. And also the reason why they canceled was they said, they didn't sign up for this.
Right. Right.
So,
and that happens. I think the biggest piece of emails and just any marketing, selling people anything is making them feel seen, especially in the business you're in, especially in the business we're in. Like, we are in a space of like feminine and arts and healing and magic, really. And, you go to a yoga class, for example, and the teacher calls you out by name and you feel like so excited. And I think that's all we want is like, hey, this is what I'm here. If you had, sent an email, like introducing yourself, this is what I can promise that you're going to get in emails from me going forward. This is my why. I'm so glad you're here. Here's the link to my favorite podcast episode, or just like, this is if you want to get to know me more, here's a solo episode I did, or just something like that, you know? And then like continue to dive deeper. And then the next one, especially on an email, like from a new person, I would always say, email them 4 times at least without any call to action. Just like providing them value, because at that point they're like, oh my God, this person's obviously an expert in this. I've learned so much. I trust. And when you can gain that trust from a potential customer, then they're like loyal forever. Really.
Yeah.
And so I think, for me, it's funny because marketing and sales can feel so like awful and whatever, but truly the easiest thing to sell is the truth. And it's just good storytelling and holding space. And that's really all marketing is like being a human.
I love that perspective.
Yeah. And like making people feel seen. That's all we want. That's all we want. Yeah.
So, you kind of highlighted like all the things that you ask a client when they, you're going to work with them. They're going through this process of, okay, I've got this brand, I've got this idea, and like I want to be able to take this to the next level in some way. But let's just give an example. Okay, someone like me, I've got a podcast, I've got a membership site, and I'm ready to take it to the next level. Like, where do you go?
Yeah. So I would look at like the umbrella basically of how people find you, and like where people are coming in from. And the best thing to do is like create like we can see each other, but no one else can see us. It's like a little staircase, and it's like it's a funnel. For me, it looks like a staircase, because we're going up, but it's a sales funnel, and it's creating, and this isn't an outrageous, like, unique idea. Everyone's saying this, but basically it's creating a funnel so that, right now you have all these people swimming in the shallow end of the pool. You have people listening to the podcast, they're getting your free content there. And then the next level is the membership site. So like they're paying monthly and they're getting a little more access. And then with the depth comes an increase in price. And we basically figure out, we can't take somebody in the top of a funnel straight to a $2,000 program. So we have to like create offerings along the way. And that's what I would do with you is, we need an intro offer. What could that be? An intro offer is like around $197. That it's not like a huge it's, it still costs like a fair amount, but, it's also not a ton of work on your end. Like my marketing program that's going to be 197 is everything I could say in like a 3-hour call, but could really change someone's business. So like something very valuable and a great way to like come into your world. And like I would help you create that funnel. And then we'd start from the beginning, which is the free opt-in. And make sure that that's driving tons of quality leads. We've got a nice email drip going to those people, welcoming them, introducing them, and then we'd start building out those offers. So, for me, I can give you my example. My first offer, if you're just coming through the online course route, you don't want to be a client or a deep dive or any of that. You come in through my free opt-in that gives you links to the podcast, articles, other free resources that I have. A little deeper will be the 197 marketing fundamentals. A little deeper than that is going to be a course called Own Your Traffic, which teaches you like more on the email list build and how to do it yourself. Beyond that is going to be a $997 offer, which is like 0 to launch in 6 weeks that I'll do twice a year. And then I'm going to interchange that with another offer of that type. And I do those twice a year. So, and then, you can figure out a really beautiful way. Like I would say, Deborah's another good example. So applied astrology for everyone who doesn't buy that twice a year open cart then gets downsold to the Star community or interview or some of her other stuff at like a really great rate. And it's just like creating these funnels. And for me, it's like, I want people to know they're in a funnel. Like if I saw you like post an opt-in on Instagram, I'd be like, oh, cool. She's like going to start. She's like ramping up to launch something. I want in. And so it's like not faking to people that like in my first email, I'm like, I will be selling you on something.
Yeah. Being transparent. I think that's
at the end of this. Yeah. And like, you're in my funnel, and that's a good thing because you're going to get so much value that I've worked so hard on. And I think if, nothing is good or bad, it's the intention you bring to it. And if your intention in whatever you're bringing to life is because you want to help people and you want to, it comes from that place of service and sharing and intuition. And, Jordan will call me and she's like, I got this download. I need to do a course. And it was her course last summer and it was amazing. And so I think, it's do I want to build a course to make a ton of money and because I want to work less? Or do I want to build a course because I want to be accessible to more people? And I think that what's coming through me right now could really help a lot of people. And if that's the intention, it will work.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's so important to have such a different perspective on all of this, especially because this industry, like the coaching, the healing, like is getting really saturated in the sort of, and I guess it's all about perspective because some of the things that I see, I get a little resistant to, and this could be just a mirror or projection, but I get resistant because I'm like, how do I know this person is authentic, and sometimes it does feel a little salesy or cheesy or what have you. And I also think it's like really important to have discernment, in who we're like learning from and all that. But I got to really shift a lot of that when I signed up for my first course, and I realized the value of what that was for me. And that was my feng shui certification course. I was like, wow. And I knew every inch of me when I had Amanda Collins on the podcast, like as I was talking to her, I told the universe, I was like, this is my teacher. And at the time I knew I couldn't afford to pay for her course. It was like almost $3,000. And I asked the universe, I was like, I want to see if she can give me a discount because I know I'm supposed to do this work. And she did. Like, I didn't even have to ask for it. She just offered it to me. And she's consistently been that for me, is just, hey, do you like, she's always there for me. And the amount of value, like the transformation, like you're pointing out, that I've received has just radically shifted my life. Like, this is my dharma. This is what I'm here to do. So it's it shifted my mind, and I realized like there's so much more value than I was giving credit to some of these courses that I, constantly see. But I think it just comes back to like what you said, your intention.
Yeah. And you need to have good discernment. And I think we're being sold at, in all angles, like literally every angle. And I'm always so interested, I swipe up on ads because I want to know, like, I want to know how they're selling, how they're talking to me, why they think I want it. I'm so into it in a space of like, it's just, what's the story they're telling me, and what do they want me to believe? And I think having that level of like, okay, I know I'm being sold, but is this something of value? And I think the biggest piece about marketing is marketing cannot make something good. Like the offer has to be good. Right. And so that's a piece, I have my little like, check boxes when I'm taking somebody on. And if the offer is good, and by good, I mean priced, not overpriced, and the intention behind it. And it's actually good. A lot of times you can see these amazing landing pages, and then you get in the back end of the program and it's like, this is garbage. Like, this is awful. Yeah. And that's terrible. And so for me, it's like, if the product is good, test it out. Like if you have a course or you have something you want to create, like create it, share it with 10 people, get their feedback. And if their feedback is like, this is amazing, marketing is going to crush it, because all marketing does is help you deliver the message. So like a lot of what I do is voice and delivery and making it really easy for people to buy. You have to tell them what to do, where to swipe, where to click, or they won't do it. So there's a piece of that to it, but mostly it's like taking your message and putting it in front of more people that would like it, getting data on those people that are buying and then serving it to more people that are like that. But if people don't buy it, and aren't using it to begin with, when you're not spending money on it, then marketing isn't going to do anything. Like it has to be organically good on its own. And I think a lot of times people look to marketing to just be like, this isn't selling. I need to like market it. And it's like, no, you should come to marketing. If this is selling and it's doing really well, then marketing will like 10x that. So for me, wherever you are, it always should be, crawl, walk, run. You test it. You reach out to your hot leads that are forgiving because they love you. And you know what I mean? Like totally. Really test it.
I have like my OG Goddess members. I love you guys because you guys have helped me grow. Test. Yeah, definitely. And I've taken feedback and I'm like, how is this supporting you? Is it really working? Is this something that's just like, am I promising everything? And I also think that too, in the online space, like I'm always feeling like I'm not giving enough. And we were just talking about this in a previous episode about manifest or being a generator and something to do with my feelings and emotions and how that's just like gets to go, because it's like when I feel that way, then I'm like, oh, I'm either over delivering or under delivering. There's not really a middle ground. So it's very interesting how all this stuff, and this is where I said in the beginning, all your stuff comes up when you're working through developing yourself as an entrepreneur with an online business, putting yourself out there. It's not a small thing. No. And for me, you should be congratulated that, you're even calling yourself an entrepreneur, anybody that does that. And it's funny because it's lonely. For me, the path of entrepreneurship is so deeply spiritual, like what you were talking about earlier, like the things that you face within yourself and the world and everything that comes up. Like it's so spiritual for me and very lonely. And I think that's a big piece that and I try to be honest about it. And I try to share on my podcast about it. And I try and share on Instagram about it. But people see me living with my husband at Santa Cruz, like at the beach at noon sometimes. And, it's just like this, for example, the economy and the coronavirus and everything right now, it's like, we don't have a fallback. Like we are entrepreneurs and this is it. We don't work for, a big tech company that it's like not going to be affected. So I just think that I wouldn't trade my life for anything, but I also wouldn't wish it on anyone. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Yep. It's a really interesting journey.
It is an interesting journey and I'm so grateful to be on it. And I keep getting these connections and, opportunities. And for me, it's just continues to come back to like when I surrender and when I'm, open to the energy and calling it in, it works. And I think the biggest piece for me in my courses and whatever we're creating is like, when you really decide to be of service, and I tell this to yoga teachers, I teach like a yoga business night at YTT, like 200 hours. And it's like, when you actually, like, you can't fake mindset. You just can't. Like you actually have to like face your demons. And if I'm saying that this is authentic and it's not, like, it's not going to work. And so I think if you truly are creating something to be of service, and it's okay that you make money in the process of being of service, like that's fine. Yeah. But if the original intention, and you should make money for your energy, right? It's just an energetic exchange. But I think when you really feel it, like this is going to help so many people, I can't wait for this to be out into the world. Two things happen. One, that energy aligns and like things just get handed to you. Like that course, like you were meant to do that because you're meant to help other people do that. Right. And your intention was so like, wait, I have to, this is my teacher. I want to learn from her. I want to, and that is so powerful how that aligned for you. And it continues to align if you're coming from this space of like being of service and, creating things for the right reasons, and the abundance will come if you're doing it that way. So yeah, I just think that, you're doing a lot of things right, hearing the way that you're speaking. And I think that, I could learn a lot from you too.
We always can. Yeah.
I want to switch this around and have you on my podcast.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I love podcasts.
But yeah, I think, it can be like a heady and whatever conversation around marketing. But for me, I just want people to see that it's just like opening up around, selling yourself, and marketing is sales. And you can't have a business without sales and marketing.
Nope.
So like, you can't be like, I hate selling myself and be an entrepreneur. Like that's never going to work. So the mindset around that is like, that's where the work begins.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we went in a total like amazing direction with this. And I think that the transparency and just exposure inside of this world is important. Like it's funny because when I saw you and I was looking up your information and kind of doing my deep dive with you, I was like, okay, if she works with Deborah Silverman and the yoga couple, like she's on, there's just something about that energy that I just felt very, like my discerning kind of meter was just like full body yes, because I felt like there's something she's doing that brings like such a beautiful energy to the work that they're doing if she's working with them. You know what I mean? So it just felt good to hear how your process and kind of shift my own perspective. Like I was saying, lately it's been me listening to these interviews and I'm going, wow, like I'm learning right here with you guys, and that part of it is also what I think marketing can do is we're marketing you. Now we're, going to learn from you. And it becomes this like magic little, I don't know, energy that I just really appreciate.
Well, I also think too, that's the last piece of it is like earning that trust, right? So like Deborah Silverman trusts me and you trust her. So like word of mouth will forever be the best 100%. Form of marketing. Forever. Referrals, like I could put your ad in front of a million hot leads. And if, you got on a podcast and Deborah sung your praises and all those million people trusted her, like it's just night and day, Yeah. And so I that's why to me, the people, like someone asked me recently, like what gets you out of bed in the morning with work? And it's like the people and it's
absolutely.
And it's like, it's not seeing their revenue go up and all of that stuff. It's earning their trust and making them feel seen and, having the hard conversations. And Deborah and I have totally butt heads and I've totally fucked up. Sorry. I don't know if I can say fuck, but
you can.
And it's all in like how you own that. And it's like how you approach your mistakes in business. And to me, like if you can operate from a space of integrity and trust, and it's really hard. Like I have existential crises and breakdowns, like, on a regular basis. And if you're not having breakdowns, then I don't want to talk to you because I only want to talk to people who are like reaching those growth edges like every other week. And I think that that's a really important point to end on is like the reason why I'm on here is because of word of mouth marketing, truly. Yeah. And that's why I have Deb on my site because I know so many people trust her and it's opened up so many beautiful doors for me because it's like, oh, well, Deb trusts Krista. So I guess she's cool. And the people that let me into their homes and like tell me their deepest like secrets in the first meeting, just because like we have Deb in common. Yeah. It's crazy. So that like, keeping those trustworthy, loyal people in your life, like professionally, spiritually, like it's so important.
It really is. It's, I think how we continue to grow. And it's also why, I think when we use our discernment and we, like for me, I'm very discerning about who I do let on the show because I know that you guys are listening and you guys are like, oh, Nixie says this person's cool, or I'm listening and she brought her on. So she must be, good or something. And I've had moments where I'm like, I'm not airing this. Didn't feel good.
Same.
And that's real, Same.
Yeah. So. I've had to send a couple emails to our producer friend who we have in common. And I'm like, we don't have an episode this week because I am not going to air that.
Yeah.
And I think, you hold a lot of power when you have a platform, when you have a following, when you have a podcast and you get to decide. And I think, that's the last thing I'll say about your brand or your website or your experience is you get to decide how people experience it. You get to control that journey that we're taking people on. And that's one of the best parts about being an entrepreneur.
Yep. You get to sail them to the islands that you're going towards.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Well, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all the medicine that you do and how you do it. You're amazing. And I feel like this relationship doesn't end here, as I'm sure other people listening. So for everyone that is listening and is like, okay, this is my girl, like I know I'm supposed to work with her, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, so we're authenticaudience.co, just how it sounds. And the best way right now is if you want to do a deep dive or a consult, you can always reach out. It's just Krista at authenticaudience.co, my email. My Instagram's Krista Ripma. I'm constantly posting rants about marketing and everything in between. And then we've got this free download right now, which you actually can't get on the website because I spend all my time helping other people on their brands and have not updated mine. But we will have, depending on when this comes out, actually, I have a new website launching next week.
Oh yeah, it'll be out after that.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So I have a brand new website and you can find everything there. And my offers, we have a free guide right now. It's a 20-page guide on like why you should grow your email list and how to do it. And that's the best way to kind of jump in feet first. And I'm still learning. So it's like being a part of my audience, you kind of like grow with me. My whole thing is like, keep growing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say to someone who is like a woman listening right now that has been contemplating like starting up as an entrepreneur, but isn't quite sure and has some blocks in the way? What would you tell her?
Yeah, the very first thing I would do is if you just want to start as an entrepreneur, I would think about two things. One, why. Your why and mission will carry you through everything and every decision. That's the biggest thing. And then who you want to reach. So if you can get really clear on who that person is that you want to help, that you want to create a service or offer for, creating a mood board for this person, where they shop, who inspires them, what accounts they're following, what brands they buy from, and really get in the head of the person that you're trying to create something for. That's a great place to start with the voice. And then the last piece of that is if you don't know who you're talking to, you're a coach. I know we have like a lot of coaches and healers. Start with talking to yourself before you had the transformation that you had. So if you're doing the, like you said, the feng shui thing, you're talking to Nixie before she found that course, right? That's who you're creating this for. So if you're a life coach, you're creating a program or an offer for it's like everything you needed before you had that transformation or before you had that realization. And I think that's a really great place to start.
Amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Final question for you. What does it mean to you to be a goddess?
I think being a goddess for me right now, it's a great question because it's a word I would like, cringe at maybe before. It really means leaning into my feminine. I think when I can get into that space of just flow and surrendering and softening. I'm not a soft person and it doesn't come naturally, but when I do get to that space, life is easier. And I don't know. I just think for me, I really need to embrace the feminine side and do whatever I can every day to get in that place. And then when I'm in that place, I am a goddess.
Yes, I love that. Again, back to that transparency. I really appreciate how you you really do kind of have this way of just being complete, open and vulnerable and sharing from your authentic space. So that's beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. It's a line I'm trying to, dance on as much as I can because I require my clients to be so honest and authentic in their storytelling and marketing. And, who would I be if I,
Absolutely.
I would not be authentic audience. That's for sure.
It is your brand name.
Yeah.
There you go.
I hold myself to a pretty high standard of just being and the biggest thing I said before this episode, and I, was super stressed and getting ready to drop in with you. It's just a little prayer and it's just give them what they need.
Yep.
Give them what they need. And the minute you can take your ego out of it and just this is for your listeners, this is for you, my energy, my time, just give them what they need. And then whatever comes through there it is.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode with this lovely lady, and check her out. I think that you guys are going to learn so much from just whatever way, shape, and form you feel called to follow her, work with her, however it lines up for you. So good to get to know you, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch. I love you all so much. I hear you. I see you. Bye for now. I'll see you next time.